Hi, everybody. I am joined by with Ulea Lago today, and we are going to talk about branding. Hi, Ulea.
Hi, Peter.
It's really interesting. I have known about BAMSI for probably 20 years, and I've always had a really high opinion of the organization. And part of that is because I was a little bit of an insider. I worked for the state for a long time and worked for other provider organizations, and always knew BAMSI as a reputation of having high integrity, providing really good services for vulnerable populations. But I always thought this is a really big agency that people outside of the human service industry don't necessarily know a great deal about, and that's fine. I think there are many organizations that do that, but we're in a different period now. I think we're in a period where we're looking at human services agencies being at risk, many of those being at risk because we're in a recession due to the pandemic. And also, I think there's a contracting of the service system environment anyway. And in that sense, that sort of pricks up our ears a little bit in terms of, well, what are we going to do about our place in our community? What are we going to do about two different populations that we're thinking about? Those are people that we're trying to recruit to come and fill some of the many vacancies that we have, and persuade them that we are a preferred provider and employer in our communities. But also, we want to ignite a platform for people to say, why should I give to BAMSI? Why is BAMSI something that I should invest in? Because we need to diversify some of our revenue lines, and that's where branding comes in. So I wonder, Ulea, if you could talk a little bit about that process and where we're at with that, and what we're thinking about in terms of creating a pathway toward a decision around branding for BAMSI, and then maybe tie that in to the skeptic who might say, why are we spending time on the name or the colors that we use, and maybe tie that into all of the things that we do here.
In 5 minutes or less.
Absolutely.
Well, branding is really a big picture thing. And many people think of branding as you're talking about the logo, or you're talking about the colors, you're talking about the tagline. But branding is really the heart and soul of the agency. And it's codifying it in many ways and figuring out how we talk about ourselves and how we present ourselves to the community. BAMSI is many things. It's a very large agency that provides a great deal of services to diverse populations. And as you said, it's not well known. In many cases, the programs are known, but the organization that supports them is not. People know I go to this location to work with Helpline, or my child goes to base at this location, but not that this is part of an integrated system of services that really support the entire community. So we're bringing in a consultant to help us really think through this. And the process really begins with having a sit down with a consultant, the two of us. We're going to engage the board to bring them in, because this is really about the strategic direction of the organization, and have a conversation about who needs to be involved, who needs to be at the table for the decision-making process, but also how are we going to get feedback from the entire community of BAMSI. Branding doesn't work if you just go off in a corner and do it. It's really about, as I said, the community, the whole organization. We can't dictate what we think our core values are and expect everyone to fall in line.
Wait, so you're saying that we need to brand internally as well as externally?
Absolutely. For a brand to work, everyone needs to be part of it and able to express it. In fundraising, they talk a lot about having a mission moment, and I've heard a lot of fundraisers talk about NASA in the 60s, and that everybody knew, from the janitor to the senior scientist, that their mission was to get a man on the moon and bring him back safely. If you asked anyone in that organization, they would give you that soundbite. And that's what we need at BAMSI. We want everyone to know what our mission is, who we are, and when they're talking to a friend on the phone When they're just meeting someone at the grocery store, they can say, oh, yes, I work at BAMSI, and this is what we do.
Yeah, I think it's so important as well, and it would be different if all of our employees were in a very big building and we did the same thing. But what we are an organization that is geographically diverse, it's programmatically diverse, human being diverse, and I think we do business in 140 different places. So that's an issue. But I liked what you said earlier on about this idea of knowing what the system of care is. We were doing an oral presentation for an RFR for autism yesterday, and one of the questions that they asked is, where can a frustrated and depressed parent of a child with autism go to get some mental health help? That's our system of care.
Yes.
And we should be always thinking of it like that, right?
Yes.
That's part of the branding process, do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you go to our website right now, we have, I don't even know how many programs listed. There's quite a few because we have so many wonderful programs, and they're each individually very, very strong. But talking about how a parent of a child of autism, can get support. The child can be getting support at the Autism Center. The parent could also be getting support at our Parent Information Network or PIN Center. There's Helpline who might be helping them navigate the healthcare system. There's a variety of different programs we can offer to support the family.
Yeah, and so it comes to that whole issue about, I know this is much used phrase, but this notion of one-stop shopping for behavioral health and all of those other human services issues. And I'm really interested in this idea of internal branding because then we begin to talk about who are the best ambassadors of our brand. And those are the people that work here, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think what's great about BAMSI is how much everyone works here cares about what they do and cares about the people they serve. And that's what makes the system of care work so well. Our employees aren't in it for the money. They're in it because they're making a difference, and to really highlight that, both internally so that we can promote that mentality, but externally so people understand how wonderful our staff is.
But it is important for us to be able to relate what our branding activities are to those people who work here so that they understand it's part of a bigger strategic initiative to actually make sure that people are paid a fair wage, not just a living wage, but a fair wage. And we do that in many ways by being attractive to people who are willing to give us money because they understand it. Because people don't give money to unsuccessful organizations. If you have money, it's the same in any society, right? If you got money, it's easy to get it. But we need to show that success in what we do so that it's attractive for people to give money to BAMSI so that we can increase people's pay.
Absolutely. Individual donations from the community who see the work that we're doing is critical. And also being able to highlight the quality of our employees and what they do is a great tool in advocating for higher reimbursement rates from the state.
Right. So it's that idea of, advocacy, of donor development, excellence in programs that distinguishes us from the competition. Yes. Because our story is not unlike the story of many other human service providers. The branding piece, right, distinguishes us.
Yes.
Or seeks to do that.
Yes, and it gives us a platform to do so much more.
Right. And the process, how long are we looking at?
I mean, it's an intensive process. I would say we should plan on about 6 months because we really need to let ideas germinate and ferment, grow. As we, things have to stick, we need to get buy-in. But I think at the end of it, we will have something that everyone in the organization can support, and that's really what's most important.
Will it be a big reveal?
I hope so. But in many ways, it shouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
Maybe when we do if the new logo is part of it, we can do a nice reveal of that. But enough people should have given input along the way that it's not shocking or really a huge surprise.
Right. Well, I look forward to it because I think it's, having been through this a couple of times, I have to say that I was a little cynical to start with, being an operations person for so long. But when you begin to see that your name has more recognition out there, when you have an organization that have an elevator speech that is passionate and actually tells an outward story of the wonderful work that happens inwardly, then you begin to go places, I think. Then you begin to distinguish yourself from other people who are doing also great work, by the way. But, BAMSI needs to stand out, and that's what we intend to do over the next 6 months.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ulea.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay.